So let's talk about the money beliefs holding you back. Okay. Here are what I believe are the biggest money beliefs holding you back. This money shame shows itself that I guess that's my point in beliefs that we carry from, again, childhood into adulthood about money. What we don't realize is that there isn't sort of one right way to be with money. It's all about preferences and these, again, kind of unconscious beliefs. Sometimes they're even conscious beliefs, but they're so integrated that we don't question them. We assume they're true because we've had them our whole lives. So let me get into a few of the top ones that I find the most problematic. One that comes up a lot, it's really interesting with couples I work with or individuals who are in a couple or have been, is that there's this belief that you have to combine your money or you're setting yourselves up for a breakup or a divorce. As the younger generations come up, which is great, there's, I think, less and less of that. But it was really common in previous generations to have one account. And of course, this was because, it grew out of the fact that women weren't even allowed to have their own credit cards until 1974 here in the US. I don't know what that is in other countries, and often women weren't working outside the home. So like when I was born, women couldn't have credit cards or get their own divorces. I mean, craziness, right? So there was one income and men usually decided how it was spent. And now things are different now. And although many couples, still have joint accounts, others keep separate accounts. And some couples I've worked with have both. There's no one right way to do it. And I really want to say that. You can do whatever you want as long as it's fair and doesn't create resentments. So in other words, everyone needs to agree, not just the person making the money or making the most money. Everybody needs to be on tap with this. Belief number 2 that I find gets in the way a lot is this idea that it's your debt. So these days people are getting married or getting into relationships later, into kind of long-term relationships later. And more women are going to college now, right? So many individuals come into a marriage or a long-term relationship with student loan or credit card debt or housing debt or other things. And individuals in a couple think, I see this all the time, it's the other person's debt. And why should I be responsible for decisions they made about money before we got together? And the problem with this is that it creates inequity within the relationship as well. But more importantly, there's this separate approach to money and life right from the get-go. Right from the get-go. If you're looking to build your life with someone and even thinking of having children with them, this mine and theirs mentality, it's going to keep showing up and create more and more distance and resentment between the two of you. And I'll give you this example. Let's say you get in a relationship with someone who already has a child. Well, that was a decision they made before you. Would you have nothing to do with that kid? I mean, they made that decision before you got together. Why should I have anything to do with it? Or if you got with someone who made really smart financial decisions for you together and they had, I don't know, homes and all kinds of money, wouldn't you expect your relationship to be made better by that? Wouldn't you? Would you really expect that? Like, let's say you make almost nothing. That you wouldn't move into a house? Like, what would happen? Would you always live separately? Would you live a pauper lifestyle where they were living this, very expensive lifestyle? Would you not go to the same restaurants together? It makes no sense when you put it into when you take it out of that one context and put it into other things. So this idea of debt, because it's affecting you anyway, this idea that it doesn't, well, it's their debt, they have to deal with it. I don't know what you're thinking. It doesn't work that way. Because if your partner now has to work extra hours to pay off this debt, then you're having less resources in your relationship anyway. Hello? They're not there as much. You're probably arguing more about things because you don't see them as often. Or they're taking their money to pay off this thing. Again, it makes no sense. I don't know. I've been doing this almost 40 years. I have to tell you, there's a real problem when I can see the difference when I have couples get to a point where they realize that if you're going to commit to this person, like if this is it for you, if you're trying to really make this long term and you're thinking this is my person forever, then you got to think about this stuff. Now, if you have a different idea about relationships, I have no issue with that. I do not judge. You don't have to think they're forever. It's okay with me. But don't, understand then that there's going to be some separations between you that you just have to be able to talk really well about and converse about. And I've talked over and over, and I even covered it in my own TEDx, The Real Reason Relationships Fail. I've talked so much about the importance of being a team. No matter what else you do in a relationship, it has to be a team. There are no you problems or me problems. Everything is a shared we issue because you're a shared resource. So instead of thinking it as his debt, think of it as our debt. Brainstorm how you're going to pay it off together. Yeah, it might only come out of, I don't know, his paycheck, but you still have to brainstorm what that's going to mean in the couple, how that's going to happen so that there's still equity, there's still an equitable arrangement in the couple. And it feels so good for the person not to feel alone with this debt. If her debt is really this big a deal, then maybe that's a deal breaker and you shouldn't be together. But if you've got the person of your dreams in front of you, for me, I think you're crazy to let something like money get in the way. And I do want to give just one caveat here. We know that when long-term relationships happen, especially those that have kids, when they break up, women are much worse off financially every time. That's across the board. That's in different countries. It doesn't matter where you are. And so I'm not saying that you shouldn't prepare. You should prepare anyway. There's going to be an end to your relationship. There's going to be an end. One of you is going to die or you're going to break up. So no matter which of those, there should be a very clear money path on the other side. Again, but do that as a couple. Do that together. Talk about it together. I think I want to say that in the end, money isn't the thing that's going to make for a happy life. The research backs me up on this. It's the quality of our relationships. It's the quality of the person you choose. And it's been said over and over that the person you choose as your partner has more to do with the quality of your happiness than almost anything else. That relationship, that primary relationship. So if you're already in there like, oh, that's your problem, good luck, that's an issue. Okay? So, and if you can't find a way to solve this issue together, you're going to have troubles figuring out future problems as a team. I promise you, there is no one I've ever worked with who were in that his debt, my debt, or whatever, and didn't talk about it and were like, take care of it, good luck, and who didn't have issues in the relationship. That's why I saw them. And I would always bring it back to this. And I can tell you that the couples I worked with who found some peace around this, who are doing the things I'm telling you to do, oh my gosh, the relationships improved tenfold. It's so funny. I think sometimes we're hedging our bets, well, I want to have money just in case we break up, but the very things you're doing are going to cause you to break up. And then you're like, oh, thank God I saved that money because otherwise, and you can have money in a strong financial future while still working at it as a couple. That's what I really want to make clear. I hope I am. Okay. Hope I'm being crystal clear here. Belief number 3, labeling. Oh, I see this all the time. Like this belief that somebody's good with money and someone's bad with money, that people can be good or bad with money. I hear this one a lot. She's not good with money. He's a spender. I'm a saver. And getting past this idea that people are right or wrong, when you're in a relationship is really important. The deal is nobody's right or wrong. You just find different things important. By the way, everyone's a spender. Everyone. It's just what you spend on. It's just how much you spend. But everybody's a spender, so I don't want to hear that. Everybody's a spender. There's no one who's listening right now or who you've ever met who hasn't spent $1 somewhere or a shekel or a euro or something. Give me a break. Like, of course, people spend money, right? You just spend on different things, and then you judge what that means based on how you were raised and what you believe about money. There's that money shame again. And then as you are shaming to your partner, if you're a saver and you label yourself at that and this spender and you're doing that and you're fighting around that, what you're doing is not accepting your partner for who they are. either both ways usually. The other person, the quote unquote spender often says the other person is stingy and not living for life or whatever. You start to label each other, you start to decide what's right and what's wrong. The key is to figure out a budget that works for both of you. That's if you're a team, that's the idea. It all comes back to, again, what you believe about money in general. Some people see money as a means to feel safe, to feel secure. I will tell you that my wonderful Gary, that's how he sees money. He is all about saving every penny whenever he can. He's very generous in a lot of wonderful ways, but like to him, it's about the security. If something is still good, why would you buy new? If you could buy $50 sneakers, why would you buy $150 sneakers? Like that's him. That's who he is. There's nothing wrong with how he is. If you've seen me or met me, you know that ain't me. I'm bougie as hell. I have a very different feeling about it. I see money as a tool for experiencing my life to the fullest. That's how I see it. So I'd rather do different kinds of travel and buy different kinds of things. And yeah, I'll buy this $150 sneakers pretty easily. You know what I mean? I'll spend money on a bag that he finds outrageous for him. But we've come to a place where we can talk about these things and not judge them. He doesn't mean he agrees. It doesn't mean he thinks it's a good idea to buy a designer bag or something, but he loves and accepts me for who I am. And this is something. So how do we, now, if I was spending my grocery money on that, we might have a different conversation, right? If if there was something really bad happening from that, or if I was maybe so far out in how I like to spend my money differently than him, then there might, you do have to find some common ground. You have to find somewhere that you sort of come together. And we do. We have a lot of those places. But I'm just saying, you can be very different. I would say Gary and I have very different money styles. That's how I talk about it. But again, neither person is right or wrong. It's all about your beliefs, these money beliefs. It's about any money shame you have, and it's about your preferences. Belief number 4 that I see getting in the way a lot of couples is this idea that, what they don't know can't hurt them. And this has to do with hiding money in a relationship. It's much more common than you think. I see it a lot in different ways. It's not always like hiding assets. It's usually, lying about how much something costs so your partner doesn't get upset. I've done it. I'm not going to lie. I've taken the price tag off the block of Parmesan Reggiano cheese. Gary, food isn't important to Gary. And he knows what we spend. It's not like it's a secret, the bigger spending, but I know if he opened the drawer all the time and saw, $20 on this, on the wrapper of this cheese, it would just be irritating to him every time. Why do that? So yeah, I've taken the wrapper off. Maybe not as much now, but I have. Other times I've seen people not telling their partner they worked overtime and then having some extra money, that feeling like, well, I worked the extra hours, so it's really my choice what to do with it. Or it could be something big as hiding assets. I'll just keep this little nest egg separate so I have some insurance kind of thing. Keeping money secrets in a relationship just undermines it, pure and simple. I don't know, again, because it's not a team. Underneath in the fabric here, you don't have your partner's best interest at heart, right? That's one of the pieces of trust is goodwill, that you have their best interest at heart. You have your own best interest at heart. And I'm not saying your own best interest shouldn't be in the picture, but be honest about it. Have a conversation so people are all on the same page. If your partner doesn't like something, you need to find an agreement and budget for it, like I did with the cheese. These conversations are key. This is what it's about, to having an open, emotionally close relationships. Secrets around money create distance, pure and simple. And belief number 5 is the idea that we're equals, so everything should be split 50-50. And you have to remember that equality and equity are 2 different things. So if you're making 30% more money than your partner, then I don't think they should be responsible for 50% of the household bills. So this idea of splitting bills, I think needs to be more on a percentage basis or some other term that feel equitable, not equal. also being the sole breadwinner or being the one who physically pays the bills doesn't mean you get to make all the decisions. So you're still equals when it comes to deciding how to spend the money earned in this household. If you don't want to share your money and the power and control that comes with that, then I don't know that you want to share much else. Again, it's really undermining where the two of you are. And again, if you really talk about it and you decide things together and everyone's happy, I mean really truly content and satisfied with the arrangement, then I got no issue. But what I see is that people say and they nod their head, and really because of their own money shame, and they feel like they don't deserve this other money. The other person did earn it after all, they start to get into this shame about money, or a lot of this has to do with misogyny and this built-in patriarchy. I say with love to all my male listeners, but it's the truth. So this idea that we've had for so long, which still holds true in households, that women do more work at home, definitely do more of the childcare. Men have upped all that as far as the numbers go tremendously in the last 30 years. But it went from 0 to something. So yeah, it's gone up a ton, but we know still that women are doing more at home, even when they work. We know this. Every research shows it. So you got to get clear that that's still going on. So it's so hard when you try to get equitable. You certainly can't get equal, trust me. But even being equitable, that's a hard thing.